Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. We bring you the right information to empower you, the SME entrepreneur. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. On tonight's show, we have the influencers in focus. First up is Kaleidofin. On the other side of a short break, Gozoop is in focus. Our first influencer conversation tonight is with Kaleidofin, a Chennai-based company that ensures that those who are in the informal sector get access to funding and finance. I caught up with Puneet Gupta. He's the co-founder of the company to understand why they've decided to focus on this niche as well as what the way forward is looking like. Take a listen. Thanks for your time here with us on the Leaders of Tomorrow, and thanks for coming down to our studio. And we're talking with companies that are constantly innovating and are really doing something very different from the market. And Kaleidofin is one such company, tapping into a base that perhaps not a lot of people would have even thought about, and not a lot of people would have imagined would form such a huge base of customers and assets really for you as a company. So before we go any further, I want you to talk about Kaleidofin for our viewers and what really it is you do.
No, thank you so much for having us over. The idea of Kaleidofin really came from the fact that we have a very, very large number of customers in India who belong to the informal sector. They have never been really a part of the formal financial services. And it just looked like a very, very large opportunity. Me and my co-founder Sucharita have been working in the area of financial inclusion for a very long time.
Sure.
We've worked with this customer segment in the past role that I was in. We were reaching out to 800,000 customers in rural geographies. So we understand this customer segment a lot.
Sure.
And working with this customer segment just underscored the kind of impact that this can have on India as a whole, on the 600 million customers who continue to not get served by the formal source of finances.
So my next question really is, and you're saying that you're working with the informal space to give them access to formal means and ways of really investing. Let's talk about the challenges, because that's pretty much the first thing that comes to mind when you're talking about working with this sector. What have been perhaps some of the challenges? Has informing the customer base that you're working with about why perhaps they should be accessing formal means of investing, etc., maybe one of your biggest challenges? What else would you like to tell our viewers about what those initial days were like?
Yes. So there are, again, like you rightly pointed out, there are challenges in reaching out to this customer segment. To my mind, the biggest challenge are really behavioral challenges. This set of customers has learned to live its life without reaching out to financial sources. So a lot of customers have their own informal means by which they save, by which they borrow, by which they support each other. And somehow the formal financial services has just not been able to make inroads there, because the formal service providers effectively have continued to bring extremely rigid and inflexible solutions to this customer base. So at one level, we have had this challenge of working on with customers in changing their behavior towards formal financial services. The other problems of extremely small ticket sizes, which makes the economics hard, continue to remain. The third challenge here is the reach. It's just hard to reach a customer in a rural geography who wants to save, let's say, 200 to 500 rupees. So I would say these have been the primary challenges that we've tried to overcome.
How have you overcome this? So if you're saying small ticket sizes, or you're saying reaching those areas which are difficult to reach.
So we have used a model which leverages technology a lot. Technology today has helped us reach out to remote parts of the country, but a large number of our customers are not today active on technology. And that's when we started to work on a model which is a partnership-based model. We identify high-quality partners who are already serving the customer. These are partners who, like MFIs, like NGOs,
Sure.
are already offering some financial services or some other services to the customer. They are trusted by the customer, have a reach where they have a physical touch point that the customer can access. And basically, it's the combination of these two where we offer the technology backbone to be able to reduce costs to make amounts immaterial. And the physical touch point of a partner who's been servicing this customer segment for quite some time, enjoys the trust, can actually speak to the customer in their own language, has worked quite nicely for us.
Okay, so I noticed that you work with players like Aditya Birla, SBI, ICICI Pru, Bharti AXA, etc., as well as Seva Bank, Sonata Microfinance, etc. Are there others who are doing what you're doing in this market? How have you managed to get this kind of access and reach?
So, the way we've operated right now has been to say that let's not focus on creating products and solutions. There are a large number of existing players like the ICICI Prudential or the Aditya Birlas or the insurance companies which have these products. What we work is on fine-tuning the processes around it, the amounts around it, the entire fine print, which makes it very complex for an informal sector customer to understand this. We've actually worked with each of our partners to get rid of those fine prints. So that's what we do with some of these larger players. We then take these solutions, offer them on a digital platform to work with entities like Sonata, which is an MFI, or a Seva Bank, which is an urban cooperative bank, to be able to reach out to their customers and use them as a trusted platform to be able to now add an additional layer. We haven't found really people who are doing this in toto along with somebody else. One of the big things that we do is that rather than just offering 10 different kinds of products, which includes mutual funds, insurance products to our customers, we actually start with a financial plan. For a low-income household, the choices that they make, the amount of money that they put across various things is extremely expensive. There's very, very low margin for error. So we started by creating a customized plan for each household. We first capture information about them, and on the basis of that, figure out what set of products would help them reach their real goals. Real goals like getting their kids to school, building a house, leading a retired life, so whatever their goals be. So that's really the starting point of our work. And then we execute a mandate which is not confusing the customer about 10 products again. It basically says you work through Kaleidofin, you'll reach your goal. So that's, I think, the big difference that we brought to this particular space.
Speaking of the informal space, I would presume a large percentage of the customer base that you have are women?
Yes, indeed they are. Today we work with 94% women.
And how perhaps are you talking to them differently? How are women and women customers, and what insights can you give someone watching this interview about how your women customers are approaching finance differently?
So if you were to look at a lot of the work that has happened in inclusive finance, I would say women have been at the forefront of this. The entire microfinance business has worked with women. The entire SHG work mostly has worked with women. I think a lot of players have discovered that the discipline and the focus on family that women are able to bring is just unprecedented. And I think it's that has been important even for us. So what we basically do is three things. Cut out the fine print, which makes it easy for people to understand what this solution is about. The second thing that we do is we create a personalized solution, which is not a generic thing. It takes into account the individual's own circumstances. And the third thing that we do is, for informal sector and women, that's extremely important, is that we account for tips. The big difference between an informal sector customer and all of us is that we have incomes which are fairly stable over time. An informal sector customer sees lots of dips and lots of changes in the income profile. Our solutions take into account the fact that you could miss payments, you could actually borrow if you needed to. All of that put together helps you get to a smooth line.
So you were talking about the role of technology when it comes to your model, and most of the businesses that we talk to, which are in the finance space in one form or the other, are using technology. How easy or difficult has it been to convince your customers about the technology you're using? A lot of people that we are talking to that are innovating in this space are increasingly relying on digital as well as social media, digital being, say, mobile, etc. Is that possible? Is that even an option for you in your market?
So let me break it into two parts. So one part is just technology, and I would say that there is no way we could do this without technology. There is no way in which you can get viability into this business. Savings-led models have very low margins, and technology enables a lot of that. For us, technology has given us again three things, in terms of what we end up doing. One, it has dropped cost of doing this business dramatically. It has brought in a lot of process ease. The second thing that it has done for us is to be able to create unique solutions for customers. And the third thing that we've been able to do is really around a good customer experience. So I would say these three have been important. For us, the part around saying customer gets a solution that works for them is very important. For example, just the data capture, to be able to make out what to offer to a woman in, let's say, rural Bihar, in Samastipur district. Their lives are very different. Average incomes are extremely low, literacy rates are extremely low. For a household which is able to use, let's say, LPG for 4 months of a year, it actually talks about disposable income.
Okay.
Because now you're not gathering firewood, but you're actually paying for LPG.
Sure.
On the other hand, you go to urban Gujarat. There's a woman there who's working with Seva Bank today. The fact that she invests in a washing machine tells you a lot. She's now trying to actually spend less and less time on household work and therefore become a part of the economic segment. And therefore her disposable income, actually you can relate to the fact that if she has a washing machine, it makes a difference.
I understand you are servicing about 9,000 odd customers as we speak. So what next for you? You are a company that's based in Chennai. What markets do you serve? What's the kind of expansion you're looking at?
So the ambition of Kaleidofin is to work pan-India. Sure. We effectively grow by adding partners across the country. Today we have signed up with 14 partners who have presence already in 7 states.
Sure.
All of these partners put together represent for us 5,600 individuals today who can offer us solutions to customers.
Sure.
We're in early stages of our life where only 300 are active today. Our first goal is to get all these 5,600 agents to become active, reach out to all the potential 5 million customers that are served by our current partners that we're working with. But simultaneously, we continue to add partnerships. We continue to bring in entities who will work with us to be able to add a new service to the informal customer base.
Sure.
So really the goal is to be able to make sure that we are able to offer customized financial solutions to individuals in helping them reach their real goals.
Sure.
Do it at scale, do it in a manner whereby our customers on a continuous basis are starting to move towards the formal sector.
Okay, wish you all the best in that, Puneet. Thanks for your time here today.
Thank you so much.
Time for a break. On the other side, Gozoop is in focus. What is this company doing and why are they featuring on the Leaders of Tomorrow tonight? Take a listen when we come back after the short break. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight our second influencer conversation is with Gozoop. If the highly interesting and innovative tweets from the Mumbai police of late has caught your attention, well, you have this team to thank. Gozoop is a Mumbai-based company that works in the digital as well as the social media space, branding and marketing for small businesses. And I spoke with them to understand some of the tips and tricks that they have for small businesses about using social, digital and technology when it comes to the communication space. Take a listen. Thanks for taking the time to join us in our studios and talk about some of the very interesting work that you're doing. Definitely caught my eye, has definitely caught the eye of Twitter, at least one project that you're doing with the Mumbai police. I'll come to that. But I want to first ask you about Gozoop, you know, the work that you've done. You've been in the market for about 10 years now. You started helping brands, you know, sort of communicate and, you know, talk and distinguish themselves better. But now you're in a whole bunch of verticals.
This has been a very interesting journey. It all started in the summer of 2008. I had, within 7 months of graduating, I had left 2 high-paying jobs, both with multinationals. and didn't have, being a first generation entrepreneur myself, didn't have resources, capital or network. Most of my friends thought I was crazy, but perhaps they were right, because I didn't even have an idea or what I'm going to do next. But what I did have at that time was a strong belief in the power of digital. You know, that digital is going to change the way we behave and we live our lives. And my friend Rohan and me, we used to brainstorm as to what we're going to do in this space of digital. And we used to list down our ideas on a diary. And while we were doing that, we got a chance to meet some founders of startups which had started at that time. And startups like Madover Donuts, Snapdeal, Quicker, Pepperfry. And we got a chance to work with them to help them scale up their businesses using the power of design, copy, and technology. And suddenly we saw them scaling up exponentially. And before we realized it, we thought that we are not half bad at it. It was really working out for them, and we were enjoying ourselves.
Okay.
So that's how we really started, Rohan, Dushyant and me, and that's how Gozoop happened.
Okay. Did you have any sort of skill sets when you're saying you were helping clients at that point as far as design and digital was concerned? Or is that something that you had to learn along the way? How did you then pick up those skills?
I come from an engineering background, so I had a very natural knack towards technology. Digital was starting that time, so we were very lucky. But just as a person, I used to love to write poetry and also design. So I think combining design, copy, and then with the understanding of technology really helped us accelerate, because those were the ingredients required to provide marketing solutions in this new world.
Sure. So I was just going to come to that and talk about the fact that in 2008, when you started out, there perhaps wouldn't have been such a clear notion of what really digital is and why digital, what is social media. I think even as we speak, it's evolving every day, and especially evolving in terms of how companies are using technology in digital and social. How have you learnt then? How have you ensured that whatever changes are happening around you, you as founders were keeping pace with that?
I think one thing that we are very sure of as our core DNA is to be the first at what we are doing, right? We necessarily don't want to be different than other people, but to be the first and to really predict what is going to happen next. So you have to stay up to date with what the technology trends are happening, figuring out how we can leverage this technology to meet an unmet need, for example, or to meet a brand challenge, right? So just by staying up to date, by reinventing ourselves. So in the past 10 years, it's not what we started with, right? We started with UI, UX and social media.
Sure.
And today we are doing a completely whole bunch of integrated solutions, which is not just restricted to the marketing divisions of company. We work very closely with the entire C-suite, whether it's the finance department, the HR department, the sales department, and that has all happened over a period of time. So every time we question ourselves, are we up to date with what the future really requires us to deliver? Because Sunanda, as a partner, what is really important is, as an agency partner, that you're the agency of the future. You're the one who takes a brand to the future. And if you don't know how to predict that, if you're not courageous enough to take those decisions, no one else will.
Sure. Okay, fair enough. Let's talk very quickly about one of those projects, and we mentioned it as we are starting this interview in terms of the work that you're doing for the Mumbai police. What perhaps gave you the idea that sort of tongue-in-cheek humor or the sarcasm really was the way that you were going to go ahead with a client who perhaps wouldn't have been the first fit when it came to that kind of communication?
Absolutely. What I really believe is that hard-hitting statements don't always have to be serious. And if you can use humor as a tool to creatively communicate what you want to do, it has a potential to really go viral. So for example, in the case of Mumbai Police, where the entire brand image possibly was a bit rough and tough, a bit unapproachable, we really took that challenge to use humor to humanize the brand,
sure,
right? To make it more approachable, to talk a language which everyone at scale would really like to connect with, engage with. Just how friends would talk, can we use humor in that way to communicate effectively? And what that resulted in is that in 4 years' time, from around 30,000 odd followers, today we are around 5 million followers. And we're the most engaged on a daily basis as an account, not just for a government organization or institution, but for a brand in India. Okay. Right? And humor has played a huge role in doing that.
Okay. So then I do know that, you're not just talking branding and communication for businesses, but I specifically want to ask you, 2 or 3 things in terms of a branding and communication strategy for businesses in the digital age, which are SMEs, which are small businesses. 2 or 3 things they should be doing, 2 or 3 things that they're perhaps doing wrong, and you want to call it out and say, here's what you should be doing to correct that.
I would generally say on a huge scale, when you're doing things for your industry, things differ. But certain things that you have to be very mindful of. One is that as a SME, always believe in first firing bullets, then cannonballs. Right? When I say that, what it means is that do low risk, low distraction experiments using the limited resources that you have and figure out which one is working. And the moment you find one of them working, make no mistake and leave no time to really put all your energy behind it to scale up. You know, a lot of SMEs try to make huge strategies, annual plans and 5-year plans and 3-year plans. They don't work in a fast-paced environment like today, where technologies are changing, where audience behaviors are changing. So my advice is to be less wasteful, to be more smart, not frugal, to be more efficient with the money that you have, and do low-risk experiments and then figure out which one is working, scale that one up.
I'll ask a couple of questions to you, and the first is finding the right talent for a business like yours, in an industry like yours that is constantly evolving. Has it been easy? How much focus do you put into training your own employees, into learning yourself to be at the cutting edge there?
Sure, we have to constantly learn and unlearn and then learn again. Talent is the most important thing in an industry like ours, and we have been very lucky that we have been able to create a kind of a culture at Gozoop, which is possibly our unfair advantage. You know, we say around that there's a bottom line to a bottom line, and culture is that, right? You know, we've been voted by international organizations like Great Places to Work as one of the best places in India to work for, and that's a testament of our open, transparent culture, about the initiatives that we do. For example, we were the first company in India to start menstrual leave in India. We are now the first company to start mental wellness leave in India, right? And not just that, having a culture of entrepreneurship inside the company has gone a long way to possibly attract the best talent in the industry.
Okay. Have you raised funds? Has it been easy for someone in your industry then to go through the fundraising process?
We have chosen to remain self-funded. You know, we are in a services industry, we have been very bottom line focused. We have been fundamentally very strong that way. So we haven't really raised external capital, though we have had multiple opportunities to raise capital. And we chose to do that because we had all the funds available through our business operations to scale up and even do our acquisitions through inorganic growth as well.
Sure.
So we did not scale up, but we did help a lot of startups raise their funding as well. Right.
Sure.
So when we partner with startup, it is not just for the marketing communication, but how can we help them go from one round of funding to the next? You know, how can we help them meet those KPIs and then be a partner for their entire fundraising process as well?
Okay. So then what next for you?
The future is digital and the future is bright. We want to keep on reinventing ourselves, keep on staying relevant. I feel being first is a very important competitive advantage that we have. You know, how can we be the first to meet an unmet need? How can we be the first to use technology? How can we be the first to create a new marketplace, right? Being the first also takes a lot of courage because you're going in the unknown, but just being the first and taking our brands towards the future is something that drives us. And that is something that gets the best out of us.
Okay, wish you all the best for that.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Samantha.
That's our show tonight. If you have any feedback for us, here's how you get in touch. leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com is our email ID. On Twitter, Sunanda_J and LOT_ET now are our Twitter handles. On Facebook, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.